After 6 weeks and over 200 job applications, I decided to get organized. And so I made myself a calendar. I did it by hand, and then I, got fancy and basically set up each of my days, Sunday through Saturday, all 7 days from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., what I'm going to do each day, because I realized that using the easy apply option to do job applications pulls you into a rabbit hole of non-productivity when it comes to your overall life. And so many of us have that instinct that if we do job applications from sunup to sundown, that we're going to get somewhere, that if we increase the volume, all we have to do is just keep at it until someone says yes. But here's the truth about any of us getting a job. 99% of the time, unless we're talking about like super entry-level jobs, unless we're talking about super entry-level jobs, 99% of the time, you're only going to get the jobs that you're qualified for. Now, you can be overqualified and you can be underqualified, and you can also be perfectly qualified. But when you're talking about jobs you've done before and you've built a track record of doing those jobs, then 9 times out of 10, those are the jobs that you're going to get in the future once you start establishing that momentum in your career. So in my case, the jobs that I qualify the most for are management jobs, mid-level or senior management, or pre-executive jobs. I also qualify for software development, software architect, senior architect roles. I qualify for jobs that involve sales, and I qualify for jobs that involve project planning, policy, and putting together process improvement solutions for internal to the organization or external in the case of being a consultant. And so those are the jobs that I qualify for the most, right? But I have found myself straying outside of that, right? As part of my application process, because it's like, and you're not supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it because it is true. Sometimes we get in the mindset, and I got in the mindset, that any job is better than no job. You get into that mindset, and you know what? You're not going to get the job, because it's clear as day that unless you change your resume to look like you fit that job, you're not going to get that job. And so, you can't change your work history. And my work history is littered with management, software development, business analysis, consulting. I can't change that. That is my past. That is my history. And so for me to try to be a quality assurance analyst, it's not a good fit. At least according to those that are doing hiring. They see the body of work that I've done, and they're like, that doesn't fit. We'd rather have somebody that fits. So, really the callbacks that I've gotten for phone screens has been management and software development. I've applied for other IT roles, but IT and software development are not the same thing. IT and software development are not the same thing. They never was back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And even with what they call DevOps, they still are not the same. What you do when we're talking about the level of software development where you are changing the course of a company, the course of a process from something that was manually done without a computer to something that is now fully automated, where you either need less people or you take the same people and you completely change the way they do the job that they've been doing. Now that you've introduced some automation and you've introduced ways to do the job that is more streamlined. And whenever somebody do those jobs, everything that they do gets fed into a computer and can then be analyzed and then refined to make what people do more efficient, or to even understand if people that do these jobs are productive. Right? IT doesn't do that. Okay, IT is fundamentally different from that. Classically, historically, IT has focused more on the infrastructure for digital technology in a business. It has focused on the actual physical computers, the network connections between the computers, the availability and continuance of email and communications, and the installation of software from third parties. So Microsoft Office is a third party. No one inside the company makes a software like Microsoft Office. You buy it from Microsoft and IT installs it because there's a predefined way to get Microsoft Office onto the computers. Whereas with software development, it generally doesn't follow predefined ways of putting new processes in place. Now, there's been some change in software development over the last 15 years to, in some organizations, to make it much more aligned with IT, traditional IT, so that you have more, you have much more structure with software development. But at a very grassroots fundamental level, software development is much more out of the box and malleable than IT. So positions that go outside your expertise, right? Someone might actually select you for those. And I have one interview coming up in a couple of days where it's going to be related to what I have done in my previous roles with data and managing data and working in what you would call industrial environments and industrial processes. But it's neither software development, and it is also definitely not IT, and it is not management, but it is something much more general than that. So I have that coming up. I also have an opportunity coming up to do management at a higher level, where I'm basically going to optimize and improve an entire process for a major organization. And so I'm getting ready for that, and I've put a lot of effort into that opportunity to go in there with the intent to win. But while you have a winner's mindset, what's going to serve you best, or at least what serves me best, is to get real organized, right? And know what you're going to do Sunday through Saturday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Know what you're going to do throughout the day. Get into a pattern, get into a ritual, get into a process. So, and the thing is that, and the real reason I'm talking about this is we have to make a real distinction between easy apply and manual apply. See, easy apply is so it's like Star Wars. It's like the dark side. It's so seductive, easier, right? But ultimately, your mileage can vary greatly. Whereas you may have some really good opportunities that pass you by because the job that's posted is manual apply. What is manual apply? It's when you're on like, let's say LinkedIn or Indeed. Let's just take those two because the majority of people are going to be familiar with them. You see the job, you see the button to apply now or easy apply, right? And you click that button and your resume is already loaded in LinkedIn or Indeed. And you select your resume and then click the button and your resume goes on to the hiring people. Most of the time that's going to be HR or talent acquisition, right? And then you're done. And it can take all of anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, right? And you're done. And you might see 10, 20 or more positions like that. And you just go through them, apply, right? And it can make you feel like you've done something, right? And you might get a call back. Someone could legitimately say, hey, I received your application. I received your resume, not really your application, but I received your resume. And I'm going to select you for, I want to talk to you pre-screen and, see how that goes. Manual apply is when that you can tell because it's going to have a little thing that's going to indicate that when you click that button, it's going to take you to that company's website. So let's say the company let's say the name of the company is Traditional Medicine Incorporated. And when you click on the apply button for Traditional Medicine Incorporated, it's going to take you to Traditional Medicine Incorporated's website. And you're going to have to go on that website, create a user account, and you're going to have to fill out an application line by line by line by line by line. You got a resume, but they still want work history. So if you've worked 5 or 10 jobs, you got to list each job and you got to take your time to put the start date, the end date. You got to put the name of the company you worked for, the position you were at, what your duties and responsibilities were, right? You got to do that. And for every job on LinkedIn or Indeed that is advertised like that, that's what you got to do. And many people, I suspect many people will skip over those jobs. There are very few people in the greater scheme of things that are actually going to apply for those jobs because you do that a couple of times and you don't get a call back. Nobody calls you back. You get ghosted. People turn you down or you get the automatic notification. See, manual apply can take you anywhere from 10 minutes or in some cases, it can take an hour. It can take an hour. I did one recently. It took me about an hour because I put a lot of serious work into it. I filled out each job. Is really the work history section that takes the longest time because I have quite a work history. Even if I cut it, right, and I only do the last 10 positions I've worked or 5 positions I've worked, it's still a lot that you have to put for that. And so what I did was I just took my time with it, but this time I saved what I did so it doesn't take as much time. That's part of getting organized, is that okay, because what you put in these job applications, they're not the same as your resume. So your resume is a advertising document. It's to say, oh, here's what I've done, here's who I am, here's what I can do, right? That's what a resume is. Job application is much more legal oriented. So they want to know, what was your exact job title? Who did you work for? What was your start date, end date? What was your reason for leaving? What did you do on that job? Duties and responsibilities. They're not looking for the advertisement type of language. And it's different. You don't tailor that. You tailor your resume, but you don't tailor your work history in that particular context. So it's different and it takes time. If you have to rehash it each time you do a job application. And so I suspect that there are many job applications like that that don't have the level of quality put into them. So I said, okay, I'm going to put some quality into this, right? And I saved it. I actually have a copy of this application that I did because I spent like an hour, maybe an hour and a half on it. Because I recently got all my transcripts from the colleges that I went to and the vocational training that I had. I got all of that. I got my high school breakdown, my GPAs. I got all that stuff now, and and putting that into a formal job application, that takes some time in and of itself. Not as much as the work history, but anyway. So if I'm going to do that, right, I need to be organized, because you don't need this if you're just going to do easy apply, right? So I need to allocate the time to do that. So what I did was 70% of my week is going to be in manual job applications. So I'm going to do my job applications manually, right? And I know it's going to take some time, even now that I have it organized, where I can just go in there and perhaps get it done in about 5-10 minutes instead of an hour. 10 minutes times 5 manual job applications, right? That's still an hour. That's still an hour, right? So that's an hour each day. And, and I got to do it in a way where I can do it within an hour that I know will not conflict with other activities. So what I'm also doing is I've seen the pattern with some of the callbacks that I've received, okay? And that's why I'm doing it this way. Most phone screens take place Monday through Wednesday. If you haven't gotten a call back by Thursday, the chances of somebody calling you on Thursday and Friday go way, way down. Nobody's going to call you. And after 3 p.m., Monday through Friday, or after 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, most people are not going to call you back because they're getting ready to get off of work. I'm talking about HR. I'm talking about recruiters. They're getting ready to get off of work. So, and so you want to organize your job search and your job activities to the rhythms of the people you're going to be working with, or that you're trying to work with, which is HR, talent acquisition, hiring managers, what their schedule is going to look like. And then when you know what their schedule looks like, then you know what you can do before that and after that, right? So that's what I do. So the middle part of my day is sectioned off for phone screens and face-to-face interviews, video interviews, and that sort of thing, right? If they're scheduled. And then if it just so happened I don't have a phone screen that day or face-to-face that day, then my fallback is to dive heavily back into reading, study, projects, and portfolio building, right? And you still have to section off that middle part of the day, even if you don't have any phone screens formally scheduled, because recruiters will call you out of the blue because you put your phone number on your resume and they found your resume on a job portal. They're going to call you out of the blue. Your phone is just going to ring and you pick up and they're going to announce themselves and You don't even have time to put your earbuds on, so that they can hear you good. When they call me, I just tell them, "Oh yeah, hold on 1 second," and then I put my earbuds on so that they can hear what I'm saying. But you get a lot of out of the blue calls, and so you still got to have that middle part of the day cleared out, right? Um, and you definitely want to be up by 7 a.m. because there's also early calls that you get. Usually between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. you'll get those. And there's a pattern here, because what do people do when they work a job? They go to lunch. And lunchtime is typically between 11:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. at the latest. So people are going to want to go on their lunch break. So you try not to schedule anything during their lunch break. You try not to call any recruiters back during their lunch break. So that's just a little thing a little tip that I have, filed away, where it's like, be respectful of people. They're getting into work. So some people, you don't call them too early because they need to settle in. And then definitely don't call people during the lunch hour, right? Because, they will take your call in many cases, and they're going to do their job. Okay. But, something might fall through the cracks when they're in a rush to, they're sitting there and they might rush the call. And some things fall through the cracks. So you want to call them when they're comfortable. So that's going to be either between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. or between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. At 4 p.m. at the latest, because many people get off at 5 p.m. So that's what I came up with. Is once I really thought about that, I was like, I don't have to get engaged with this all day, right? As far as, applying all day and not getting any results. Have an actual strategy for the type of jobs that you're applying for and how you're going to apply for them, being prepared to apply for them, but at the same time, having enough time to live your life. That means you got to do your laundry. That means you got to take care of your appointments, right? Maybe you got to go renew your tags for your car. Maybe you have to go to, if you're a military veteran, maybe you have to go to VA appointments, right? Or maybe you have to go to job fairs, right? If you're working with your state unemployment agency, there are certain days of the week that you got to go visit them, right? Or at least call them. And so you got to fit all these things in. But most importantly, you got to fit in your training. So one of my goals is to work on my training, right? Now, once I get hired, that changes everything, right? So I have to come up with a whole new schedule. But one of the things I saw myself heading towards was a zone of regret, where I spent so much time applying that I waste the opportunity to improve myself in terms of certain skill sets or to get certain credentials, right? And, if I'm going to do this Google IT certification or this Microsoft certification, I'm going to have to block out some time for that, right? And if I do this the wrong way, then, it's an unorganized mess where it's like, wow, another day has gone by and I just don't have the time to engage with this training or to engage with this reading, to do this study or to work on this portfolio, because you gotta fire on all cylinders. But the only way you can do that is through organization and through structure, right? So that's what I came up with. And I also came up with downtime, right? Because I've been all work for the last 6 weeks, just all work, right? And I'm not going to say it hasn't paid off. I won't say that. But it's like, I spent so much time doing applications, the majority of which, no, not the majority, that's not even the right word. I spent so much time doing applications where all of them got rejected. And the ones that I didn't get a rejection notice, that's just, it's just straight, you're just straight being ghosted. Those may even be fake jobs, you know. But who cares if it's a fake job or if you got rejected, if you also didn't take the time while you have the time to build your skills and improve the way that you go about this. So I said, let's get organized, let's put it together, and let's have an approach where I can get all of my interviews done, get all of my applications done, and do it in an organized, strategic way and have a plan for it. Review the plan on Sundays, right? And execute the plan Monday through Saturday, right? And make sure that I can do my trainings, make sure that I can do my documentation, my projects, and get my meals in on a regular basis and not postpone meals until the last minute because I'm so busy doing the next application one after another, and just say, this is the point where you stop. Just stop. It's time to eat. I finished eating. Now, let me see what's going on today in the way of news. Let's do that for an hour. Let's stop. Let's wind down. Let's go to sleep at a good time. Then let's wake up at 7. Let's get ready for the day. Let's get things in gear. And let's be ready and available to do what we have to do during the most productive parts of that day, not just for ourselves, but with those who we're going to communicate and make the case for why we should be employed. So that's what I came up with on Thursday. And it was funny because I think doing this was good luck, because I had one of the best phone screens ever on Friday, November the 15th, the day of full moon. I had one of the best phone screens, and it may turn into something tangible, but that is to be seen. But that is kind of what's going on with job search in 2024. And I hope you find this well.